Everyone, I'm Professor Sheetal Bujare, and in today's lecture we will be discussing about the cable TV network. Now, the cable TV network, it basically first started as a video service provider, but it has moved to the business of internet access. So in this section we will discuss about the cable TV network and how this network can be used to provide high-speed internet access to the internet. First, we will discuss about the traditional cable network and then the hybrid fiber coaxial network, HFC network. Now, the cable TV, they started to distribute broadcast video signal to locations with poor or no receptions in the early 1940s. That was, at that time, it was called as the Community Antenna TV, CATV, because an antenna at the top of a tall hill or building, they received the signal from the TV station and then they were distributed via the coaxial cable to the community. Now this figure basically shows the schematic of a traditional cable network. Now the cable TV office, called as the head end, it receives video signals from broadcasting stations and they feed this into coaxial cable. The signal becomes weaker and weaker with distance, so amplifiers were installed through the network to renew the signal. So there could be around say 35 amplifiers between the head end and the subscriber premises. At the other hand, we have a splitter which split the cable and taps and drop cable and makes the connection to the subscriber premises. So here we have on the right hand side we have the subscriber premises over here. Now the traditional cable TV system uses coaxial cable at the end. Due to attenuation of the signals and the use of a large number of amplifiers, communication in the traditional networks, they were uneasy, they were unidirectional, that is one way. So video signals, they were transmitted downstream from the head end to the subscriber premises. So the communication in the traditional cable TV was unidirectional. Then we have the second generation of cable network, which is called as the hybrid fiber coaxial, that is HFC network. Now this network, they basically uses a combination of the fiber optics and the coaxial cable. The transmission medium from the cable TV to a box called as the fiber node is the optical fiber, and from the fiber node through the neighborhood into the house is still the coaxial cable. So if you could see over here till the premises, subscriber premises, we have the coaxial cable. Now the regional cable head, RCH, the regional cable head normally serves up to say 400,000 subscribers. The RCH feeds the distribution hub, each of which serves up to 40,000 subscribers, and the distribution hub plays a very important role in the new infrastructure. The modulation and distribution of signals are done here. The fiber node, it splits the analog signal and then fed up to the fiber node through the fiber optic cables. The fiber node, it splits the analog signal so that the same signal are fed to the fiber optic cables. The fiber node splits the analog signal so that the same signal is sent to each coaxial cable, and each coaxial cable, this serves up to say 1000 subscriber. The use of the fiber optic cable reduces the need for amplifiers down to 8 or less. So one reason for moving from traditional to hybrid infrastructure is to make the cable network bidirectional, that is two-way. So we could say that the communication in an HFC cable TV network can be bidirectional. Now let's discuss about the cable TV for data transfer. Now the cable companies, they are now competing with the telephone companies for the residential customers who wants high-speed data transfer. Now DSL technology, which we have discussed in our last lecture, they also provides high data rate connection for residential subscribers over the local loops. But DSL uses the existing unshielded twisted pair cable, which was very much susceptible to interference. And this also imposes an upper limit on the data rate. So the solution is to use a cable TV network for data transfer. Now, even in HFC system, the last part of the network, that is from the fiber node to the subscriber premises, is still a coaxial cable. Now, this coaxial cable, it has a bandwidth that ranges from 5 to 750 megahertz approximately. So, to provide internet access, the cable company has divided this bandwidth into 3 bands for video, downstream data and upstream data as shown in the figure. Let's discuss about the downstream video band. The downstream video band, it occupies frequency from 54 to 550 megahertz. Each TV channel occupies 6 megahertz, so this can accommodate around 80 channels. Then the downstream data, that is from the internet to the subscriber premises, they occupy the upper band from 550 to 750 megahertz, and this band is now also divided into 6 megahertz channels. Then the modulation downstream data band, it basically uses 64 QAM modulation technique. If we talk about the data rate, there are like say 6 bits per baud in 64 QAM. So 1 bit is used for forward error correction. So this will leave us with say 5 bits of data per baud. The standard specifies 1 Hz for each baud. This means that the theoretical downstream data rate can be 30 Mbps, that is 5 bits into 6 megahertz. The standard also specifies only 27 Mbps. However, since the cable modem is normally connected to the computer through a 10 base T cable, this limits the data rates to 10 Mbps. Now the upstream data, that is from the subscriber premises to the internet, it occupies the lower band from 5 to 42. This band is also divided into 6 megahertz. The upper stream data band uses lower frequencies that are more susceptible to noise and interference. For this reason, the QAM technique is not suitable for this one, so we use a QPSK modulation techniques. So upstream data, they are modulated using the QPSK modulation techniques over here. Now if we talk about the data rate, there are 2 bits per baud in QPSK and the standard specifies 1 Hz for each baud. That means the theoretical upstream data can be up to say 12 Mbps, that is 2 bits into 6 megahertz, that is 12. Now both upstreams and downstream bands, they are shared by the subscribers. The upstream data bandwidth is 37 megahertz. This means there will be total say 6 megahertz channel available in the upstream direction. Now a subscriber needs to use only one channel to send in the upstream direction. Now if we could consider over here, a question might arise over here, how can 6 channels be shared in an area with 1000 or 2000 subscribers? Now the solution over here is time sharing. The band is divided into channel using FDM. These channels must be shared between the subscribers in the same neighborhood. And the cable provider allocates one channel for a group of subscribers. So if a subscriber wants to send data, then the subscriber needs to contend for the channel with others who wants the access. The subscriber must wait until the channel is available. And the same solution we have it in the downstream direction. The downstream band has 33 channels of 6 megahertz. So a cable provider normally have say like 33 subscribers. So each channel must be shared between a group of subscribers. However, the situation is different from the downstream direction. Here we have a multicasting situation. For example, if there are data for any of the subscribers in the group, then the data are sent to that channel. Each subscriber is sent the data. But each one subscriber also have an address registered with the provider. Then the cable modem for the group matches the address carried with the data to the address assigned by the provider. And if the address matches, then the data are kept, otherwise they are discarded. Now, to use a cable network for data transmission, we need 2 key devices. We need a cable modem and a cable modem transmission system, that is CMTS. The first particular diagram over here is showing how a cable modem, that is a CM, is installed on the subscriber premises. It is very much similar to the ADSL modem. Then we need another device which we call it as the CMTS, that is a cable modem transmission system. It is installed inside the distribution hub by the cable company. It receives data from the internet and passes them to the combiner. It receives data from the internet, passes them to the combiner, which then sends it to the subscriber. The CMTS also receives data from the subscriber and it passes to the internet. So this particular figure basically shows the location of the CMTS device. So this was all about the cable TV network. Now in this particular chapter, that is chapter number 9, we have discussed 3 important things. That was the telephone network, then we discussed the dial-up modems, then the digital subscriber line, and finally the cable network. So all these 4 topics are included in chapter number 9. One more reminder, we are talking about transmission media, that is module number 2. Module number 2 basically covers 3 chapters of Frozen, chapter number 7, chapter number 9 and chapter number 16. We have already covered chapter number 7. Today we have completed chapter number 9, and next series we will be starting for chapter number 16, which covers the cellular telephony and satellite network. Thank you.